evening. I appreciate you all being here. If you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing, and we'll have the invocation brought this evening by Pastor Jenkins. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, we come before you this evening. We thanking you for who you are. We thank you that you're all-knowing, all-powerful, that you care about every little detail of our lives. We thank you for this opportunity to come before you with business of the city tonight. Just pray that you'll just direct our thoughts, just give us clarity, and that there would be a oneness and a willingness to agree in a way that would be honoring to you, that we'd get the best accomplish things in a manner that would be honoring to you. So we commit this time into your hands and ask your blessing upon it. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Very good. Thank you very much.
Okay, good.
This evening, we have an opportunity to start the meeting. We have an opportunity for citizens to address the City Council about items not on tonight's agenda. If anyone would like to address the City Council, you're more than welcome to. Seeing none, we'll roll right along to our consent agenda. The consent agenda this evening includes the minutes of the November 12th City Council meeting, claims for city operation, and claims for Public Housing Authority. I entertain anything to be pulled by the citizens? Staff? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, vote please.
Reese?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Gurley? Yes. Wood?
Yes.
Kip?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Going right along to our regular meeting agenda. The first item, our Public Housing Authority utility allowance. Staff?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Carrie Frederickson with Public Housing. The utility allowance is one of the annual reports or studies that's required by HUD each year. It's called the 2019 utility allowance just because we use the 2019 utility usage of the family units to come up with these totals. And they will be the utility allowances for 2020. And they are proposed here for the 2-bedroom 115, 3-bedroom 144, and 4-bedroom 168. With the utility allowances, if the income, it's taken off of the resident's income-based rent. So if their rent is $500 for a 2-bedroom based on their income, then that 115 would be subtracted from that, and their rent would really be the difference that they pay to me. So that is just an explanation of what those are. And I will answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, concerns, comments from the staff? Citizens? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the 2020 utility allowance schedule.
Second. Moved and seconded, and so we'll start over here.
None.
None.
Doesn't hear.
None.
Seeing none, vote please.
Thompson?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Gurley? Yes. Mackey?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Kip?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Rolling right along to agenda item number 2, the Public Housing Authority fair market rates.
Good evening again. So we did the 2019 utility allowances first because that needed to be approved to do this one because those allowances are taken off of the 2020 FMR rates. So this is another annual adjustment by HUD. They do their own study and set out the fair market rates for the area. The properties have the choice of using those that HUD assigns, but we cannot go any lower than 80% of those totals. Factors that go into that are just amenities, updates that the property has, etc. So PHA, we have been at 80% for several years now. And those are the rates that are listed there. The studio and one bedrooms do not have the utility allowance taken off of them because we pay all utilities for those units. The residents don't pay anything. So you will see for the 2, 3, and 4 bedroom, the utility allowance that was just approved was taken off of the FMR rate at 80%, giving the new suggested totals. What the FMR is if the residents' income-based rent is more than this amount for their unit, they have the option to choose to pay the flat rate rent for their unit. If they choose that, they are no longer income-based rent, and if they have any changes in their income, they are not required to report that to me. And their annual recertifications change to every 3 years for as long as they're on this FMR rent rate. And I will answer any other questions again.
Very good. Anything else from the staff? Citizens? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the 2020 fair market rates.
Second.
Very good. Moved and seconded. Questions, concerns, comments, and I'm going to start with a question because I'm sorry. So they've gone up significantly this
Yes.
year
They did.
because of the KC metro area, the evaluation of the rents across the Kansas City metro area.
Yes, that's what HUD bases it off of.
And what was the deciding factor in that, or was there any significant factors that caused the rent to go up like that?
They don't say, this is their little formula that they send to us, and they don't give like specifications on why it went up so much.
I mentioned that a couple of them were pretty far off anyways. The 2-bedroom was way far off from what we've been charging for probably 4 years ago.
Yeah, last year I felt like they were, they were pretty low last year, I felt like.
Yeah.
So I wasn't entirely surprised that they went up, but yeah, it doesn't, I mean, you guys are welcome to look at this if you want, but yeah.
Very good, thank you. Sorry, we'll start over here. Councilman Reese.
Nothing additional?
I was wondering about that one resident when I read this. Is she okay and everything? That's just a normal thing if she'd like to switch to income-based?
Yep, they will have that option. Any rent change, we are required to give them a full 30 days notice before that happens. So if this was approved November 2nd, her rent still wouldn't have changed until January 1st. So they have that option to do whichever one fits them best, and then they would have 30 days from that decision before the effect actually changes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, sir.
I had one with the fair market rent. What were you mentioning with the switching to flat rate? Why were you saying that? Like,
Because
why
that's
would
what
they
this
stay
is
with you
based
guys?
off of. So the residents, all residents have the option of income-based rent, which they pay rent based on 30% of their income,
Uh-huh.
or the fair market rent. And they choose the fair market rent if their income rent is higher than what the fair market would be. So say a 2-bedroom residence income-based rent is $700 a month. She has the right to choose to either pay $700 or go to non-income-based rent, and she would pay $668.
Gotcha. And is that just because the constraints of availability in Bonner Springs, or?
That's a
like,
HUD
why-
thing, that's their policy. All HUD property residents have the option of being income-based or not. And then,
Like, it's like, I'm asking, why would they not pay the reduced rate?
well, exactly. They never not choose the lower rate, we just have to give them that option.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what I was really confused about.
yeah,
There's a
Yeah.
100% compliance rate.
Yeah, I guess in a market like maybe Chicago or St. Louis, well, that might make sense, but I didn't know if there was something I was missing on that. So.
No,
Okay.
no, I've never had a resident choose to pay the higher rate, I'm just telling my HUD to give them the option. They
Okay.
always choose the lower one. There is the benefit of, if they're on the flat rate, they don't have to report any income changes to me. So if
Okay,
they're like
I
working
understand.
overtime for during the holidays or something, that would affect an income-based residence rent. But if they're on the flat rate, they can work all the overtime they want and it won't change their rent.
Do you guys pull credit and stuff like that? Or do you-
We do background checks and such, yeah.
Okay,
I don't pull actual credit scores.
gotcha. Okay. I was just curious if that would make sense with how you guys doing it. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no.
Sir.
Mr. Shane.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, nothing. Seeing no other questions, concerns, concerns, comments? Vote
Everybody's
please.
ready for bed tonight. We're all just asleep.
Shannon,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Reeves,
Yes.
Gurley,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
Steven,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you, Case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On to item number 3, the CES Waterline Project in Bonner Springs,
I feel like
Kansas.
it needs a ceremony or something.
This has been a long time coming.
And it's done. Thank you, Mayor. Matt Meets, Deputy Director of Public Works. Tonight we're bringing the final change order, plus change order 2, and then asking for the acceptance of the project and award a final payment to Orr White Streetscapes for the CES Waterline project. They finally wrapped up with the sidewalk that is, for anyone to ask, there is a section of sidewalk on Shiley that is about 20 feet long. That
My
is,
fault.
it's an AT&T box that we have not been able to get to adjust it yet. Once it gets adjusted, we'll find either a different, one of our local contractors to pour that little piece of sidewalk in, but once we get it adjusted. That's all we had left. Didn't want to hold the project up until AT&T finally got around to coming out and adjusting it. So we've got it, the project is wrapped up, the lines are all in, and then, as most of you probably have noticed, the streets got overlaid here in the last week or so. So
Yeah, they did great.
everything looks pretty good. I think we're done bothering those neighbors for a little while, so. We'll be happy to answer any other further questions.
Thank you very much. Anything else to add by the citizens? Staff? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve change orders number 2 and 3, authorize final payment to Orr Wyatt Streetscapes in the amount of $152,449.10, and accept the CES Waterline project as complete.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, concerns, comment? We'll start right here.
How did this finally end up relevant to budget?
Well, it was a little over, it was real close actually what we originally had budgeted. Now, this project started back in like
Right.
2016 maybe. So it's been carried over and put on the back burner many times over. So
But we didn't double or triple what
No,
we expected.
it was, I'm gonna say it was, I think originally we had figured it was around 730 and 730,000. I think we're right around somewhere around there.
Wow.
Thanks.
It's pretty close.
That's it.
I know change orders happen, but I was really surprised with directive number 7, the amount on it.
Oh. Well, that one actually, there's several things involved, but one of the easiest ones to pick off right off the top here is the sidewalk and the curbs. That was, I think in the budget, we normally figure, 20, 40 feet of curb and gutter. Once you get out there and you start moving stuff around to get things tied back in ADA wise, you end up doing closer to maybe like 100 feet on that curb. So it's just kind of an additional of all this.
Just
Extra
the estimate on those was just off that
Yeah.
much.
So that's one of the big things in there. But it's just the finalizing pluses and minuses and whatnot.
But it just caught me, it was so large compared to what we usually see.
Yeah, I was gonna complain about change order number 7. Sorry.
Well, you can pile on if you want to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, thank you.
Very good. Seeing nothing else, vote please.
Gurley? Yes. Reeves?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Chick?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
Steven?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Congratulations, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm sure that those who live in Ward 1 down that area are probably very pleased.
Yeah, this is there. Looks good, way.
On to item number 4, the audit contract for 2019 and 2020 fiscal year.
Be Mayor, Council, Tilly LaPlante, Finance Director. The city's audit firm that's done an audit for several years got out of the governmental auditing business as of the end of this year. So we took proposals for bid. We sent the proposals to 4 agencies that either other cities had worked with. or other ones that we knew of, and we also put it on our website for others to bid. We had the deputy finance director, myself, and the city manager department rated all 4 of the proposals that we received, and all of us rated Allen, Giggs, and Hulick as the top audit firm to perform the audits for 2019 and 2020. So we are, and that was based on their experience with other audits similar to ours, their staffing level, their technical expertise. So we are recommending to award the 2019 and 2020 audits to Allen, Giggs, and Hulick. The 2019 audit cost will be $29,750, and 2020 will be $30,750. Allen, Gibbs and Hulick does have 2 staff members that were with Mize Hauser. They are familiar with our books, so they have worked with the city before.
Anything else? Anything else from citizens or staff? Seeing none, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve a 2-year contract with Allen, Gibbs, and Hulick LC to perform audit services for the city for fiscal years 2019 and 2020 in the amount of $29,750 and $30,750 respectively.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, concerns, comments? Let's go here.
She explained it all.
No, sir.
Telly, one of the gentlemen that did this last year that was here, is he part of this group?
He did. His was, I think it's Gordon CPA. I think one of the things with his, he's just starting, and his staffing, he really, that's what we felt the most was, he's experienced with our audit, but the staffing, because he's just starting, I think was why he wasn't
Okay.
rated higher.
Well, I didn't know if he was, I couldn't remember his last name, so I thought.
Gordon CPA.
Okay, got it, thanks.
Is this a similar expense to what was paid previously?
No, it's high. We budgeted 25,000 for next year's audit, so we'll find that. And it is higher than what we've paid in the past, but I think we felt with the quality that I think we're going to get. Another thing, a lot of their staff is familiar with GFOA. Some of them serve on the GFOA Certificate of Financial Reporting, and that's something that maybe, hopefully, we can try to gear towards getting, and they could help us to know the things, steps that we need to take to get that certification.
Thanks for putting the other ones that bid against, you know, 'cause we only get a snapshot a lot of times and it's hard to decipher if there's just one bid. You said it was a substantial increase or just about 4,000?
I think this year we paid 23 something, and this is 29,750. The low was 18, but I also, one of the things we looked at was the hours that firm was going to spend was about half of what this, so it wasn't that their per hour prices were inflated. I just think the audits they had done were smaller with, and they hadn't had to spend as much time. I don't know that they were actually comparing us to comparable cities, because we've got utilities, we've got component units, and so the hours that on that was the lowest. Most of them were higher, close to the one that we took, but the hours spent on the low one was half of what the hours that this firm said they would need to spend.
Thank you.
Nothing here.
Tilly likes it, I like it.
Very good. Seeing nothing else, vote please.
Mackey?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Gurley? Yes. Reeves?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. On to item number 5, ordinance to establish a city manager's salary. This is an ordinance. You have to do that by ordinance. Anything to add? All the information's there. Nothing else to add by anyone? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve an ordinance establishing the city manager's salary.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, concerns, comments? Over here?
Nothing here.
No.
I think it was a good move, and I think you're well worth it. Thank you for your service, sir.
Nothing else? No other questions, concerns? Vote please.
Mackey?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Yes.
Gurley? Yes. Thompson?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. On to item number 6, amendment to employment agreement. Discussed this previously. Anything else to add? Seeing none, it was pretty self-explanatory in the read-along. I would entertain a motion, or nothing else to add? I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve an amendment to the employment agreement with the city manager.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, concerns, comments? We'll start over here since we're going back and forth.
No more.
Seeing none? No? Nothing else? All right, very good. Vote please.
Stevens?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Gurley? Yes. Motion passes.
I'm glad we're all over the board on this. You know, everything tonight, we're just, you know.
It's explained so well, the stuff we get,
Great.
the information is there.
Because everybody's nervous.
Yeah, like.
We got the officers.
The officers.
Yeah. Two officers.
Twice as much security.
I can't hear anything. So. That's not very reassuring.
Everybody's looking at me.
We have a new officer here. Want to introduce yourself, or,
I'm Megan Pachilloza.
and how long have you been on our,
About a month.
about a month?
Excellent.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard. Very
I'm
good,
happy to work here, so.
very good.
Glad to have you.
Yeah.
She's a grew up a local. She graduated from Bonner High School.
What year did you graduate?
2015.
That's great.
Congratulations. She did a good job in class.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry to interrupt, but thank you very much. And moving right along to our reports, this evening, our city manager's report.
Just a quick reminder, we have a lot of events coming up over the next couple of weeks, so I've tried to detail those as best as I can in the city manager report. We'll have a lot of that information available on social media as well. Also want to bring up the current street improvement projects that are currently underway. We did complete CES. We are looking for some nice warmer days. They may be behind us.
Warmer than
but,
this.
yeah. To finish up, I think we have Kansas Avenue left, and then one matter that we are looking to maybe tweak a little bit from what was the original course was the plan for Metropolitan Avenue between 138th and 142nd. The contractor has suggested an alternative way of fixing that street, which involves just a slight change in the application of the materials. Materials really don't change. The biggest difference here is the time frame. Right now, the time frame is a matter of about 3 weeks to finish the project. What this contractor has done is actually gone out to several different locations. This is a bigger contractor than what we typically have, so there's a lot more resources. And actually cored and analyzed all these different locations on Metropolitan. So we're working on some better data than we had before to make a decision as to what would be the best route to repair that street. Again, I think we're going down this course, but if you do have any questions or concerns about that, The biggest change is that you're going to see a lot less time out on that area, which means a lot less disturbance. We would likely have to close that street for that entire time frame. The old way, this new faster completion date was about 4 days. To add maybe a little bit more to it as well, they have agreed to extend the warranty from our typical 2 years to go to 3 years on this as well. So they are fairly confident in what they are proposing is going to be a viable solution. So I want to get you guys up to speed on that as it materializes. They do need, I think, about 3 to 4 days to actually complete the project at that location, which that's around 50 degrees. That's why I say that hopefully we'll get a couple of days here in the next few weeks. Also, just want to bring attention to an area that we may not drive very often, but it's something that we're having to deal with, and likely is going to require some council action by the end of the year. Is a section of roadway near 121st Street, north of K32. As you go up to the quarry area, there is a creek bed there that has eroded the street, rather almost to the street. It's actually right at the sidewalk at this point. We are getting estimates to make that repair. It's not an easy one, nor is any of the repairs that we're going to do at that location going to be long-term. Reality is we would probably have to come back in 3 to 5 years, 5 years hopefully, and make some bigger repairs there. But again, just want to get you guys up to speed on that. We are estimating that to be around, at the high water mark, probably about $85,000. But right now we have silt fence around that particular area. Any questions? Again, I just bring that up so if you have the opportunity to maybe go take a look at that. I think it does underscore some of the efforts the city has taken in the last year or so to try to, this is a stormwater issue. This is the effects of not having control, so to speak, on stormwater and having a long-term plan for some of these areas. So as we continue to evaluate what the best course of action is for stormwater, this is just, I think, a shining example of one of the issues. So, yes, sir.
What'd you say, 121st?
121st, if you just actually, right by Lucy. Yeah, it's, you go towards, yeah, you go up to the Boy Scout camp. Last but not least, we also, I think I'm at, well, I've got 2 more. Kansas Municipal Insurance Trust, the providers of our workers' comp did get with us today by letter. It did get shredded by the mail. But the result is that we did get one of these wonderful awards again, Gold Star Award. We did drop off for a while there in terms of the highest mark, which is the Gold Star. But this is a reflection of our efforts in the workers' comp arena to make sure that we're mitigating risk for our employees and also ensuring their safety. This does come with a financial benefit to the city of about a 7% decrease in our overall premiums. Our premiums have been up over the last couple of years due to the issues with some of our facilities, however, so we still are trending upwards, but again, a 7% reduction isn't too shabby on that. And then last but not least, as a reminder, the next council meeting in December is the 16th. We go to one council meeting in December, so that is up, has been up on the city calendar as well, but just as a reminder for everybody, we only meet once in December. So yeah, that concludes my report.
Very good. We'll go ahead and have the city council portion now.
Yeah, I was interested if you got to go on a train ride?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Not actually a ride. I didn't read the invitation as closely as I should have. It was a very moving experience.
I see what you did there.
But it was a nice lunch. The Union Pacific took an opportunity to educate some of the local leaders on the impact they have in the community and some of their needs. And there was some discussion about quiet zones, not anything specific, but there were a lot of legislatures there from Missouri, Kansas, as well as chambers of commerce Um, We were very well represented, and they're very appreciative of Bonner Springs and being able to go through Bonner Springs.
Also, there's been a few complaints about the blasting that's happening someplace. Were you able to find out anything about that? Was that coming from Shawnee?
Shawnee. We fielded a lot of those complaints.
A lot of the complaints from Shawnee?
Yeah, the blasting's coming from Shawnee. We get calls about it pretty frequently.
Okay.
There's a quarry there that's been doing blasting. And it's bad enough that it's actually shaking people's houses well into Bonner Springs.
Yeah.
And there was one the other night,
Yep.
back and forth, Bragg.
That surprises me about a quarry in Shawnee. I'm not aware of that. The only quarry I remember is the one that they're using as a landfill now, and I'm not aware of any active quarrying going on there.
Holiday Sand,
They-
isn't it?
I wasn't either till this,
Yep.
and I had
And
heard
the
from
quarry's
somebody,
right across the
it
river.
was probably in Shawnee, but I don't even know where it is, but.
From,
It's, if you're standing around about 142nd and Loring, you look just south. It's right
Okay.
there.
I don't know what that is.
Yep. They run dredging, sand barges, and a quarry out there.
Close to Bonner's property.
Yes, yep, immediately adjacent to it.
because, yes, so that's a sand dredging operation out of both the river and their lagoon. But the blasting that I've received complaints about, I believe is happening in what we refer to as Lone Star Quarry. It's last known by Boozy Unicum. And we have reached out to them. I've documented some of those complaints, and we're trying to reach a appropriate negotiated agreement. I think what has happened over the years, and we've been familiar with that quarry for quite some time, and over when they're doing blasting in different locations in the quarry, sometimes the location of that blasting is on a ledge or rock shelf that is the same as different residences in Bonner, and that because of the seismic situation, something to do with the way that travels through the ground, it's felt more in certain areas. They don't, in times past, that hasn't lasted for a long time because they move on to another portion. They're always moving, but anyway, they have been made aware. And I encourage anybody that's had any difficulty or recognized any damage or anything, please reach out. The city has the contact information. So, both, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Onto the road repair for Metropolitan. I assume there's a plan. We do have, about 2 or 3 driveways that lead onto that?
Yeah, I know we have at least 2 Bonner Springs residents that have access to that road.
Now, will they have a way, when we start this, I didn't know how much it was going to be torn up, so.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, they will maintain their access throughout the project.
Okay, and we'll make sure they get plenty of notice before. Okay, great.
And that's typically just for future reference too. We typically write those things into our bid specs, just like what happened or occurred in the CES areas, that it's incumbent upon the contractor to go out and actually hang door hangers and work with folks. In addition to what we do through social media, such as trying to let people know that these projects are going on in different areas, so.
To their credit, they did that twice. They came by, they door knocked, and they did hangers, and they did the next day when they were doing more stuff, they did it again.
Great. Yeah, I can say that I've heard some high compliments on this particular contractor and what they've been able to do in the time frame. Again, this is a very large contractor, and they've been able to mobilize. I think typically they run 4 or 5 crews, just regular. So they've had 2 crews running in Bonner pretty consistently. So it's, like I said, it's.
But the old thing is you can do something right 99 times, and that one time you're going to hear about that.
Yeah.
That's why I try to sing the praises when I can, so.
The Bonner Crossing, that's good news.
Yep, we are currently trying to put some crosses on Ts and Is, dots on Is with the UG staff. There are just a few little thoughts on things, but the intent is to try to get that in front of the UG. They work through standing commissions, committees, to try to get that in the next couple of weeks, first meeting for them in December, and then expedite that to their full council commission in December. So again, this hopefully works with the plan for the developer, which is to actually try to break ground or at least to move around dirt starting in January, February timeframe for next year. So this is progress, and we're glad to see it.
Good. The Metropolitan condensing that time frame, is that going to be a significant financial savings also?
It's not necessarily. I think the trade-off is the difference really in the materials that's being used. Again, what they're trying to do is, and we've done this, I don't know, Matt might be better able to explain this than I do, but there are a lot of areas on Metropolitan where the base is maybe given a lot more than in other places. The original intent was to go through with a mix of a concrete and asphalt application. What they're actually doing now is a little bit more of a full depth patch. So it's not really a change. It's not there's no contract change. It's really just a change, so to speak, in the form of application of materials. So I wish I could say that it would save us some money, but yeah.
First of all, do we need to RSVP to the community holiday dinner?
I don't believe so,
Because that
no.
was very nice last year. We got to talk to a lot of community people.
Yeah, and I think that the way that the school has it working is it's just a kind of a show up. I'm sure that they would love to probably have an idea of a head count beforehand, so I would certainly, if you're able to reach out to the school and let them know that you would be intending on coming.
Okay. And the other thing, I've had the communication with people who have been interested in the Boy Scout camp. Is there somebody there all the time to report whether there are fires? It's people who worry about fires because they're watching all the stuff from California. And while we have had an awful lot of, it's been a rainy year this year. But how do the fire departments watch what's going on at Camp Nash? And because it's Edwardsville and Bonner.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that they typically have somebody there on a pretty frequent basis. I think they have had some turnover of staff out there as of late. I can't say for sure, but I believe that's what has happened. But typically they do have somebody there on a pretty frequent basis.
Okay, because if it caught on fire, well,
Oh, yeah.
Lake Forest would be just terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And parts of Edwardsville, because when I go up the Church Road and I see all the trees fall, the leaves falling, and
Yeah.
They have a head ranger who lives out there 24/7. He has a house on the property. He's actually one of our volunteer firefighters.
That's still Rick.
If that puts your mind at ease.
Is that still Rick Leatherwood? Is that Rick Leatherwood?
Yes,
Like he still lives there?
he does.
Okay.
Okay,
We
now,
train out there, so he's my point of contact.
okay, say that again, not just his name, but we have
They have a head ranger.
Yeah, he's their head ranger. He does
He lives-
all of their maintenance, and he has a house he lives out there. He's also one of our volunteer firefighters.
24/7, who has a house on the property.
Yep, and that's through the Boy Scouts. So that changes after X amount of years, but he's been there for a while now.
He's been there a long time.
Long time.
Yeah.
And he's a volunteer fire, so he would be, yeah. Thank you so much, I'll be able to tell people.
I think of all, I would think he'd probably be as best prepared, other than having a fire station out there.
Yeah, you know who to call.
A Bonner Springs Fire.
Yes, he's one of our volunteers.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
You need to come to more meetings.
I'd like to know a little bit about a lot of things.
Anything else?
No, oh, I'm sorry, I was writing that down so I could report.
The 26th Annual Community Thanksgiving Dinner is going to be held this Thursday, and it's at the First Christian Church, but it is a community event. They've been doing this for 26 years, so please put the word out if there's anybody that does not have a place to go for Thanksgiving. Henry McConico, his congregation is joining with them to get meals, and they'll take them to the high-rise.
Oh, good.
And there's a number here I have, if anybody wants it, that even if somebody's homebound. And so this is a community, the church congregations, community congregations are all involved in this. And for the first time, I was talking with Leanne Dutard Newberg. They have all the money they need to buy all the turkeys, and they're cooking a lot.
Wow.
So it's a huge thing, and so put the word out, and if there's any questions, let me know, and give me a call, and I have this extra flyer if anybody wants that. It's really a good thing. The other thing that the community churches are doing, and this has come out of the survey that they did, that community needs assessment survey, is they're looking at trying to see what the need is for transient people, for lodging, or transitional people. And it took me a while to kind of understand that. That's two different groups.
Yes.
And there's a lot of good things going on, and they're looking at trying to address that need. And so there's a lot happening with community congregations. That's all I have.
On a nerdy little element, I was doing property research, and there's a small parcel behind my house I've been able to figure out for years. And apparently Bonner used to have their own electric company in 1916, and it was merged into, I think, a company in Leavenworth, and then merged into another company after that. But it's just a weird floating parcel, and it actually used to be part of the Bonner Electric and Mechanical Company. And if you looked at their description, the reason I found it is I think that was part of the inspiration for the cave that Bonner's got, because they also made ice. That was on their legal description and on their documentation with the Secretary of State. Their businesses were machining, electric and oil, and ice making. And it's behind my house, which is 120 Emerson, which is it's near the Pizza Hut and some of the older places. So there's a nerdy history element.
Just neat.
From the, excuse me, from the senior citizens, they've raised $3,000 towards scholarship money, and they were suggesting, where to disperse it to. Project Warmth, they collected 35 coats for Von Tran, I'm sorry. The chairlift is installed, and it said, working on kinks. And I think the kinks are the operators. Anyway, and,
The Kinks have a name.
I'm right over there. And they also raised $310 for the National Breast Cancer Foundation. And thanks to everybody's participation.
Thank you for bringing this to us.
Yes, thank you. The first is we continue to have difficulty getting the word out on all the different things that are going on in Bonner Springs. Tiblo Talk has its place, and hopefully it will continue and prosper. The Senior Center News, the library has a flyer, the city quarterly newsletter, and the email blasts, and the churches, and the all the different things, getting them coordinated. We need to continue to encourage people to access the city calendar. That can be a good tool if it's used. The Chamber of Commerce and the different groups also have a lot of activities going on through the center through this season. The next chamber annual or monthly meeting is coming up on December 3rd, and the Rotary, December 5th, and the Rotary holiday annual banquet is on December 5th also. Those were both from memory, so good luck. The tree lighting is coming up quickly, and those of you who would like to participate are more than welcome. If you need signs, they're available from Christina. I'll also have you're welcome to ride on with me on the trailer in the parade, so any and all. Hopefully Santa Claus makes an appearance, and we turn on the Christmas lights in Bonner Springs, and that will be on Saturday, December 7th, with the parade beginning at 5:30.
Meeting at the First Christian Church.
First Christian Church.
At 5.
Lineup.
How do people get into the parade or
Show up
Okay.
by 5 o'clock. Parade lineup is at 5 o'clock at the Bonner Springs First Christian Church. And a lot of they encourage people to decorate their, whatever, their entry or float or car or golf cart. Oh, yeah. Welcome to come.
I'll be handing out candy for DPW.
You're welcome to do that. By state law, you can do that personally, not from a car.
That's why we have to walk along the street.
The VFW will be there to follow the police.
Yep. It's always a great way to start it.
And we put lights on our flagpoles.
Another, with all the things that are going on in Bonner, please, if you know of anything and it's not easily accessible for everyone else, please convey that to Christina Brake, and she'll put out the word through an email blast for all of us to be able to spread the word as best we can. Made mention of all the road improvements and the areas that we'll have to continue to look at. Some of the older parts that haven't been a part of a road improvement program for many years, like 121st, Riverview, 138 South, some of those streets in the southern portion, as well as some of the extended outer roads. Those are roads we're going to have to continue to look at and do things like we're doing on Metropolitan, and it is going to cost. We have to make allowances in the budget for those areas. Riverview, we had to do emergency repairs on it in the last month, and those are difficult for the community to try and prepare for, as it is for us. And there's going to be more and more concerns instead of less and less with the increase in travel. We're continuing to talk and keep an open dialogue with KDOT on their improvements to K7 Highway. This is a situation that's impacted Bonner Springs for the last 25 years, right off the top of my head, I can tell you. And we're continuing to look out for the best interests of Bonner Springs. The dog shelter has come up. It's gotten some play on social media and on television this afternoon. It's my understanding we're in the process of having Kansas inspect South Park to see if that's a viable alternative or what would have to be done to that area. And so that didn't make the media, but that continues. So hopefully that will work out for everyone. We're also working our way through all that's involved in those ordinances and standards of practice. 1918 building status, do you have any update other than we sure see a lot of stuff going on from the outside?
With regard to, the police department facility is on its way upward. They were pouring foundational walls and then putting in piers over the last couple of weeks. They have removed, at least from the site, the alleyway, driveway between the two buildings. That has been completely removed. The tunnel shared between formerly the 1918 building and community center has been removed and filled. It was really fun when they were jackhammering that concrete right next to the community center the other day too. But the 1918 building itself, most of that has been progressing as they have planned. They have started trying to put on plaster and walls. I can tell you it's pretty astonishing to see what was, and then what can be done just with putting white plaster on the walls is pretty eye-opening, but happy to take anybody from the council through that if they'd like to go. I have taken some through, but again, it's every time I go in there, I think I'm amazed by how quickly that has gone through. And then standing down in the police department facility the other day, it's hard to kind of see the size of that building, but when you stand from one corner to the other and just try to visualize that impact too, it's pretty neat to see. So a lot going on. We did have the electrical moved over the last several weeks. That came with a switch of power on Sunday. I think we were out of power on this little stretch for a little bit of time. We do have a water line also planned to go in. I think the contractor, who is also a subcontractor for KBS, our contractor for the government facilities, is planning to try to probably integrate that water line work in the springtime. Previously, they were hoping to get it done before then, but doesn't look like it's going to happen. So again, a lot going on in and outside of the building. I'll probably have a little bit more of an update at the next council meeting as well, just the status of some items related to that.
New change orders?
What's that?
New change orders?
Trying not to say change. It's not necessarily anything that we didn't think was probably going to be the way that it is. Well, no new tunnels that I'm aware of at this point. Having to replace some wood here and there, just unknown things that once you start to peel back the onion, these things become exposed. So they did have to put some additional saddles in where they weren't expecting to put them for some of the cross beams, and they had to reinforce some cross beams because of damage over the life of a 100-year-old building. But again, with all of those little details that maybe went missed, you're also met with some details where you're uncovering a window sill that has the intact window that's been boarded off for 60 some odd years. So again, it's you can look at it any which way.
So the roof, they did a lot of work on the roof. Is that
they have
closed up?
I'm not sure if it's, I haven't been up there. They won't let me go up there. They took away my hatch to go up and look down on everything. But the roof itself, I think, is essentially done. They were working through and actually trying to rip a lot of the coping stone and remove some of that sheathing to start to do that process. Really what they're trying to get done at this point is to get the building sealed up. A lot of you can see the exterior. This is just probably the benefit a little bit of working with an existing building as opposed to a brand new building. You can see these contrasts between the police facility and the city hall facility. But the exterior is really where they've tried to nail everything down. So that's been a lot of tuck pointing. A lot of the lintels around the windows have been removed, and you're seeing those reinforced. And then obviously the windows being replaced with just the insulation that they're trying to get through the winter to just keep that up and running. But again, they are plugging along on that project.
Great. Well, I appreciate that, and I would love to have an opportunity for a tour.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
When we don't have a 6:30 meeting some regular time when we're having a meeting, could we do the tour at 6:30?
That's actually what I was hoping to do at the next council meeting, is in the event that we don't have a workshop trying to get into that building. I've just got to get that coordinated with the contractors, but I think, again, it's somewhat depending on lighting conditions in the building as well. But again, if anybody would like to go through that during the day, drop in or better yet, give me a call and we can go through there, and I'll be happy to take you through.
See, it would be so much better if we all went together, because questions that we ask then lead to another question, because the thoughts that are in someone's mind is,
At 6:30, it's really dark now.
And
Yeah.
I really don't want to be in their way. I mean, every time I've seen them, they're humping, so it's there's a lot of work going on over there. So yeah, Thank you. Very good. Kincaid, across the river, are they going to have an open house sometime? Is that coming up?
Yes, it's on the
Email?
6th of
On the
December.
6th, there's an email.
Good. December
7 to 10 p.m.
But you need to send in a RCP by Wednesday.
Right.
Of this week?
Yes.
Oh, I got 2 days left to do that.
That's. You got, what, 48 hours?
Okay.
36 hours.
It wasn't in.
Well, it was an email.
pretty
We got
nice
to-
Yeah.
I think it was emailed directly
Yeah.
from Kincaid to you all.
Maybe that's
Well,
why.
I can't do it.
Maybe
I
they.
guess it got emailed to 8 of us.
Oh, interesting.
With the Pacer
Well,
and
you're just
Private
the
Action
mayor,
Council.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't have anything. Let's look at this, please.
Has there been any news, update, change on the 110th and Riverview roundabout topic?
There was a field check meeting with the state. This came on the heels of a utility coordination meeting that the city of Bonner Springs was left off of the invite list on. However, the field check meeting, we did attend that. It was relayed to us and Edwardsville from the state that in order for the project to move forward, that we did need to have an agreement to, the city needed, Bonner Springs needed to be okay with that project occurring within the city of Bonner Springs. They are doing the project within our right of way. The mayor and I, and then Mayor McTaggart, and then Mike Webb, the city manager of Edwardsville, met some time ago. That's probably been
A month
a month ago or so, if not longer, to discuss that particular topic. I think the main thing that we are trying to ensure is taken into consideration is the planned extension of sewer from Edwardsville, which they have had planned out as far as going west through Edwardsville and then south. Sorry, I'm giving a bad picture of it, but basically the plan was to cross Riverview at some point. I think our intention has been that if that is a planned project to be done, then it would be nice to incorporate that into this project to get it done. I did send an interlocal agreement over to the city manager for Edwardsville, I think it was last week or so, and trying to get that coordinated as far as just getting it done. So again, the state has kind of relayed to us that they would like to have that all tied up by February, realistically. So it continues. Just a caveat on all that. I did have a conversation today with Public Works Director regarding the status of Riverview. One of the things that I think we maybe look to try to do is try to coordinate any improvements that we would do on Riverview with the planned improvements at 110th in Riverview. Some of the concern just being that if we were to do that project any earlier, we would be faced with construction traffic and a few other things that would just would be very nice on that road, brand new road. But also obviously with the intent of bidding that out at the same time, we could hopefully realize some savings in terms of working with one contractor. So there's a lot going on in that particular neck of the woods.
Sean, on Riverview, what part is Bonner's and which part is Edwardsville, or is it Edwardsville / KCK, or?
It's technically Riverview at one point in time was a county road some time ago. And what happened was, this is just what I've been able to garner off of the history of legal documents that were written in cursive. I don't know if they teach anymore, but and it was a lot more interesting to read too. But the road, the entirety of Riverview from 110th all the way over to, it actually goes past K7 westward, and actually comes into a dirt road. So it's actually the one, I think the one dirt road in the city of Bonner Springs that's actually maintained by the city, is all in the city of Bonner Springs. If you haven't driven on it, I didn't.
I did, I drove it today.
Okay, yeah. The dirt road part of it?
No,
already?
no,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
But the other one was, you know, I thought it was a World War II road.
Yeah, it is a roadway that, like I said, we've been trying to program that. I think we've got an initial cost estimate, pretty similar to Metropolitan to fix that, which is, you know, hovering around $200,000. And that's just that stretch between 110th and, what's that?
Almost
Not quite 122nd.
Yeah, 122nd there.
Not quite that far.
120th and 20th and a half.
Yeah.
No, it's connecting to where.
Yeah, the state made some improvements
KDOT
there
over
with
there.
that, you know, so.
The road over the bridge is good.
That's great, yeah, it's wonderful there. Yeah, it's one of those things, though, again, similar to Metropolitan, that it's a roadway that definitely needs to get fixed, but it is a high dollar fix to get it done.
I didn't know if we,
do
it
maintenance?
was the same thing as 142nd, half
No.
Pacer and half Bonner.
No, the arrangement, sorry to get on a segue there a little bit, but the arrangement has, my understanding has always somewhat been that Edwardsville is responsible for the entirety of 110th Street in that area, and Bonner is responsible for Riverview in that area.
It's my understanding on 142nd, what you're talking about, north of K32 is Nuttall County, and south of K32 is Bonner Springs.
And we actually do have an agreement for that.
I was gonna say,
Do we maintain or do any maintenance on Riverview west of 134th out to 142nd?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah,
We talked at one point about abandoning that, I think.
but down towards the end, yeah, we plow it, we try to fill potholes. There's a section of it down there with the last house, before it goes to the bend that Coleman, Bruce Coleman owns. And we try to, but it's,
Gravel?
yeah,
Chip and
it floods a
seal
lot.
down there?
Does
It
the,
floods a lot.
I have to compliment the huge improvement to the gravel road, which is Metropolitan east of Shidley, as it turns and goes towards the city water towers and the back of the cemetery. They took millings or whatever you call the gravel and dumped it on there. I'm sad to say, I'm pretty excited about ground up asphalt.
You're a politician, exciting.
Well, it's, I'm not very, but it does a perfect place for it. And those are, I would imagine you could put a bunch of that material if you had to get rid of it on those type of places too. Anything else? No? Others? Seeing no questions for me? We're adjourned.